Good day, everyone. Today I'm going to get into Little Rock crime data. I was more so curious what crime looks like in 2024. With that, I'm going to go over a couple temporal techniques, how to extract, say, day of the week, month of year, hour, all that good stuff. Put it into a pivot table, add a couple slicers, see what it looks like across some of these offenses. More curious, given the work that I've done in Little Rock in the past. I haven't looked at it in a couple months in much detail at all, but I thought I'd make a video, kind of walk through some of those steps. I already downloaded the CSV Little Rock crime data from 2017 to year date. Truly downloaded it today, Sunday. I'll send a link into the YouTube video if you want to grab it, do the same thing. With that, what you see in front of you are the data themselves. I saved it as a workbook, so we have date, incident number, the district, offense code, which corresponds more with NIBRs nowadays, since you can see some of the different categories in it. The actual description, weapon type, incident location, city, state, zip, lat long, and then the combination of lat and long at the end. Also with offense status, which we won't get into for here. But let's start off. All right. So I want to add a couple columns over here to the day because I want to extract it. I'm going to do this a couple different ways just to show different ways to do it. But to do so, insert a few blank columns. With that, Excel typically tries to mimic the column next to it when you're inserting. So if you see here, this is a custom field. It has both date and time. It's a timestamp. With that, it recognizes this column over here in these cells as custom as well. That creates some issues when you're trying to extract parts of the date or time because it views it as a similar custom part. So when I say that, let's see here. If I do the year command, so year, select this over here, close it out, hit enter. It's still reading it, and I'll zoom in to make this a bit easier on your eyes. It's still reading that as a custom date. Same with month. So if I do month, I pull this out, same issue. Now, if I come to the top though and change all of these, I'm going to come up here, even though they say general, going to specify everything within it. I still want to be a general field. So that's great. Now it's actually pulling out correctly. So I have year, I have month. Let's do day of week. Keep in mind, these are coming over as truly. The actual numeric number. We'll go over here in a second how to extract the other part as a text. So we can have month as text, day of week as text, all that good stuff. So I can highlight all these, double click on that green cell, and we're good to go. Similar with hour of the day. So if I wanted hour equals hour, extract this, and you see it's 19, so 7 p.m. With that, you can make a temporal heat map. I've done those many times. I think those are a good quick description of what's going on in terms of day of week, hour of day to see temporal patterns across different crime types. You can add a slicer in, especially given this timeline of data. COVID's in the middle of this, so you could look at a COVID year to see how those change potentially. In some of the cities that I've looked at, it's not so much the temporal pattern change as much as the volume. So similar temporal trends in terms of time of day of week, but it's just a volume reduction over COVID that you see more so. All right, but now let's go over what if I wanted month as text and day of week as a text. So there's a couple different ways to do this. One way that I kind of got in the habit of doing was inserting two more columns. You can see these are still custom, so I'm going to come up to the top, make sure these are general again, do month, text, day, text. What's good about Excel is once you start doing a couple different iterative processes, they'll try to identify the pattern that you're doing and pick up and let you complete it for you. You can also do the Control E where auto finishes for you. I've had more issues with that, so I kind of stopped doing that. But here I'm just going to change this incident date to a long date. So it's gonna hide the time part. I still have it over here in hour. But now if I start typing June, then we have September. You can see it's already matching what I'm doing to the left. So if I just hit enter there, it's gonna follow or finish this entire column for us. Now if I come over and do day of the week, if I do Friday, Thursday, boom, we have it again. Life is a bit quicker, easier because of that. You can extract this out a couple different ways. There's other code you can use along with specifying if Sunday is 0. So every Sunday is 0, every Monday is 1, and then you can go back and just do a change or recode that way. With that though, I now have crime data from 2017 through 2024. Let's see what this looks like over time. So I'm just going to highlight my data set here. And yes, I have that blank column in it, but I'm okay with that for right now. It's not going to mess anything up I want to do right now. I take that back. It won't let me do a pivot table with the blank column. So with that, delete this column, come up, do that. And I should have known that because I just ran into that issue with a colleague the other day. All right, so let's just look at general crime occurrence. So let's look at year as a row, and let's pull over incident number. And again, this is a count. So this is truly just looking at a count by year, what crime looks like. You can see overall, we're seeing some changes from 2017 through 2023. Keep in mind, we're not fully through 2024 yet, but this at least lets you see some general trends here. If you get into the habit, and this is where I've done more of these lately, is if you want to get into a pivot chart, these are pretty friendly in terms of just adding some context to your data. So it's nice to where you can visualize it a bit more. I'm going to right click and add data labels. You can just see at the top here now we have a count for each one. What's also nice is if I come back to this table over here and I go to analyze, if I want to insert a slicer. So I come up and say insert slicer, and I want the month text to be a slicer for now. And let's go ahead and also grab incident description or offense description. I'm going to have two different slicers, and this is truly going to slice your data in a couple different ways. So now, say I'm interested in truly comparing the first 6 months of each year. So I'm going to highlight from January through June. We can see how 2024 is doing compared to the prior years across the similar offenses. Not bad. It's much more in line from 2020 to current. It's up a little bit, but not much. The latter half of this year could make it go up in terms of trying to do comparisons across timelines. But from 2017, we do see quite a reduction. Even from 2022, we are seeing a reduction there. Now, let's say we're interested in seeing what this looks like across offense. So say I'm only interested in more of our violent offenses. Let's say ag assault, trending downwards, which is nice to see. This is matching what we're seeing across the nation when we look at some of the first 6 months of 2024. I'm going to include in that homicide or murder itself, similar trends that way. I can unselect it to where I only have murder, homicide. 2022, as you can see, was a very violent year in Little Rock, trending downwards, almost getting to the pre-COVID numbers in terms of the violence occurrence. The interesting one that's making headlines of in a lot of cities, even though we're seeing violence reductions, we are seeing rises in shoplifting across some of these cities. Here, not shocking, we're seeing that as well in terms of 2017 to current. In the first 6 months, 2024 is showing to be a very high shoplifting year, very different than our prior years, even into 2020 and 2021, more of our COVID years there, with 2021 being a really low year for that. But we do see quite an increase in shoplifting for the first 6 months of 2024 compared to the prior 7 years. With that, we can pull different crime types. Motor vehicle theft, depending on what city you're in, has seen drastic increases in motor vehicle theft over the past couple of years. The Kias were the big part of that, but certain cities were seeing a huge 100, 200% increase in motor vehicle theft with some of that going on. With that, though, this was a quick way to kind of get a sense of what's going on with the crime in Little Rock, see which ones are trending upwards in the first 6 months compared to the other prior years. With that, they did have Latin law, so you could go map all this, but it is a quick sneak peek of kind of what's going on trend-wise for a city. And a lot of cities have very similar data portals. Little Rock is one that's based on Socrata, Tyler Tech, if you're familiar with the history of those. But it's an easy one to go grab the data, download it, and use it as you would need. With that, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. In the meantime, I'm going to start putting together the Dark Falcon Lego set that I just picked up. Take care.